The July jobs report is released Friday. Economists expect non-farm payrolls to rise by 185,000. Here with a preview is Lindsay Piegza, the chief economist at Stifel Fixed Income. So, Lindsay, how many jobs do you expect on Friday?
We're coming in under expectations. We're looking for around 150, 155.
And in terms of the prior months, last month we had a pretty blowout number at 287, but the month before in May was, plus 11,000. So this report on Friday will be really important just to see if the past couple of months were a fluke or not.
That's exactly right. We've seen a tremendous amount of volatility. No growth in May, a tremendous amount in June. We're looking for July essentially to split the difference and maintain the trend pace that we've seen for quite some time. Now remember, the May employment report was very unexpected. The weakness very much unpriced into the market. But we've seen a declining trend in terms of job growth for quite some time. We were up at 300,000 at the end of last year, down to 200,000 in the first quarter, and we've now come down to right around 150. So again, we're expecting the July employment report to reflect that current trend.
Now, many said that the May report was an aberration, but you could just as easily make the case that the blowout number in June was also an aberration.
Absolutely. So again, the Fed is not looking at one data point. They're not focused on May, they're not focused on June. They're looking at that longer term trend, and the Fed is saying we have seen, any way you cut it, a slowdown in the pace of hiring.
All right, what about wages? Average hourly earnings are expected to rise 0.3% in the month. Last month it was 0.1%.
So we're looking for wages to really moderate. We have seen a bit of an uptick at the start of the year, up above that trend of 2%, but we're looking for wages to begin to moderate as we've seen job creation moderate as well. So wages reflecting that slowdown in the labor market.
Okay, and this is another important figure, the labor force participation rate that's been, increasing, decreasing. This has kind of been hovering around the level that it's been at for the past year or so.
Right, so the labor force participation rate remains at a multi-decade low. We've seen a little bit of modulation, but really what this is going to reflect is an impact on the unemployment rate. So we've seen the unemployment rate tick back up to 4.9%, a reflection of the fact that many thousands, hundreds of thousands of workers have moved back into the labor market. So we'll be watching to see if a decline in the labor market is a reflection of perhaps more workers moving away from participation.
So we almost want that unemployment rate to rise this month.
Absolutely. As labor market conditions improve, we expect to pull in those millions of discouraged workers back into the labor force, and that would temporarily put upward pressure on the unemployment rate.
All right, and of course, this is a critical meeting for the Fed. Of course, we will have, this is not the final jobs report before the Fed's September meeting, but it is certainly a data point they'll be looking at.
Well, it'll certainly set a tone. Again, there are a number of Fed officials on the hawkish side that have continued to argue in favor of a near-term rate increase, certainly by the end of the year. So again, keeping September on the table. If we do see a stellar report in July and a stellar report again in August, those hawkish members are going to become an even louder voice at the Fed.
All right, Lindsay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.